everyone, and welcome to another exciting episode of Fun with Flags, where me, myself, 50 the Maccabee, and my good friend Mattathias talk about our each individual countries. How are you doing, sir, Mr. Mattathias?
Other than the fact that it's snowing and cold outside, I'm doing all right.
Yeah, well, it's part of the tradition of this time period, of this time of year. So I'm guessing it wasn't much of an exciting week for you over there.
I mean, if I'm being 100% honest, I work and I come home. That's really all I do. I talk to my friends. I might play the occasional video game, but I really don't do much.
Such an enviable life. Anyway, so in an effort to get out of the tragedies that we've experienced this week, why don't we talk about a time when tragedies became a reason to celebrate? And yes, I am of course talking about the story of Hanukkah or Chanukah, as we say. It's been a long time coming, but I mean, it kind of fits the time of year. Now, of
Yep.
course, we were going to record this episode on the last day of Hanukkah, but shit happened, and we kind of had to push it
Let's
all the
just
way.
put it this way: it's hard to get two people who live on opposite sides of the world to be able to record.
Yep, you're working with too many time zones, apparently.
Yeah.
How the hell did we used to manage the stuff like?
Well, your work schedule was different,
Well, true that.
and so we used to be able to record on Saturday mornings, which for you would have been like about dinner time.
Yeah, but like, okay, so there's that. What about the taco stand? Like 17 people from several different places.
Well, with that one, well, like you stayed up all night. I stayed up all night. That's because I had to plan to stay up all night because I was producing the damn things.
Mm.
So for that, I had to go and I had to book time off to make sure I could sleep the next day.
Well, our crazy sleep schedules aside, so yeah, Hanukkah kind of not relevant anymore at the time of this recording, but it was relevant when we decided to make this video. So here we are, and I actually took a little bit of a page from my good friend Mattathias's book, and I actually have notes with me. Now we'll be I'm not gonna do the exactly what you do. I'm just reading out the entire thing. I just gave myself some cliff notes so that I can, or rather, sorry, talking points, so I can cover the historical event. Now, before we get started, I always ask this question before we deep dive into it. What do you know about Hanukkah?
Basically, I know it involves somebody named Joseph Maccabee, and whatever I learned as a kid watching the Rugrats Hanukkah special, I know it runs for. Well, at least I know how it is nowadays. It's 8, or as Adam Sandler calls it, 8 crazy nights, 8 nights of gifts, 8 nights of celebration, 8 nights of prayer. That's basically all I know.
All right, so that's the tradition itself, but
Yes, I know the
historical
tradition
context-
itself. I don't really know the history.
yeah, the history. So that's really where we're going here. And every time we talk about something that happened in the history of this region, we always have to go several centuries before what happened to build up the historical context.
Yep.
So you remember a couple of episodes ago we talked about, there was the Kingdom of Israel, the 12 tribes. King David did some shit, and as a result of that, God decided that his son will be the last king of the unified Kingdom of Israel. After Solomon died, the Kingdom of Israel was split in two. There was the Kingdom of Judah, the Kingdom of Israel. The Kingdom of Israel very quickly went away, disappeared, went away the wind of the dodo, conquered by the Assyrians, showed up several centuries later as the Sumerians, but the Kingdom of Judea still stuck around. The Kingdom of Judea.
The Judean People's Front!
How did you? You're muted. Sorry, I thought you missed that.
No, I caught it.
So, and then obviously the new Babylonians show up. They conquer the kingdom of Judea, and the new Babylonian leader at the time, Nebuchadnezzar, destroys the first Jewish temple, or Solomon's Temple, as it was also commonly known, and disperses all the Jews throughout his empire, mostly in what is modern day Iran, which was at the time very quickly became the Empire of Persia. And the Persian Empire, the then Persian Emperor, very quickly made short work of the Babylonians and conquered this whole region as well. And the emperor himself, Cyrus, was a very big fan of the Jews. And he made his Cyrus Edict, I believe it's called in English, where basically it's like an early version of Zionism, where he allowed the Jewish people, now they're calling themselves the Jewish people after living so many years in Judea, he gave the Jewish people the right to return to their ancestral homeland and rebuild their temple, their Jewish temple, and he would even offer to help building the Jewish temple. This is actually significant because it proves that the Jews actually lived here almost 1,000 years before Islam was a thing.
Not according to the rest of the world, it wasn't.
What?
Not according to the rest of the world.
Yeah, well, fuck the rest of the world. So yeah, the Cyrus Edict, historical proof that the Jews belong here. So yeah, the Jews come back. They start rebuilding the temple. In years to come, a new leader, new world leader, I should say, very prominent historical figure, comes up. I'm assuming you've heard of Alexander the Great.
The name rings a bell.
It's the name Alexander
I saw a movie like 20 years ago with Angelina Jolie. Of course, I know who Alexander the Great is. Alexander the Great is one of the most fascinating figures in history.
Yep. So Alexander of Macedon, also known as Alexander the Great, at the age of 18 becomes the youngest leader of the Hellenistic Empire, the Greeks, for those of you who are not aware of the terms. Well,
sorry, I was going to say something, but I think you might actually bring it up.
Why don't you go ahead and say it anyway?
Oh, no, I was going to say, if I'm not mistaken, he's the youngest person to ever, quote-unquote, conquer the world.
Yeah, suppose that's one way of looking at it.
Yeah.
Youngest person so far, but yeah, so he decides to go and conquer pretty much all of India. His whole empire spreads from modern day Greece, conquers a little bit of more North Africa through the region of the land of Israel, through Persia, all the way into India, and of course he takes out the Persian Empire in the process. And while he was in this land, in the land of Israel, because remember, people, it wasn't called the land of Palestine yet. It was the land of Israel. Yeah, in both testaments. And you know what? Even in the Quran. Actually, no, the Quran doesn't. Sorry, the Quran doesn't mention Jerusalem. It does mention that the Jewish people lived here.
Yeah,
so
but it's referred to as like the land of Israel or something like that too.
Yeah, the land of Israel. That's what most people call Palestine post Roman Empire.
Yeah.
But so while he's here, he's actually pretty friendly to the Jews. Like, he likes the Jews. He actually gives them the rights to live here and continue to uphold their laws and their religion and their customs. And of course, as a result, naturally, the Jews are also very kind and welcoming to him. He even offers to help finish rebuilding the second temple of Solomon, the Temple of Jerusalem. Of course, several years later, at the age of 35, he died, and he did not leave a single heir to his empire. Hence, the empire fell into a state of disarray.
They can't even find his tomb.
Well, if you watch,
they have.
I mean, if you watch the Marvel show Moon Knight.
Sorry, I watched the actual documentary on Disney Plus from National Geographic. But yeah, no, if I'm not mistaken, they think they found his tomb.
In the show or in reality?
No, I haven't seen Moon Knight. I'm talking real life.
To my knowledge, they still haven't.
Okay.
It's one of those it's like Jesus. It's one of those mysteries you'll never be able to prove.
That's true.
Everyone knows it exists, but no one can prove it.
Yeah,
So yeah,
like the Lost Ark of the Covenant.
yeah. Well, I mean, last I heard, it's being guarded by top men. Top men.
There's actually a fun urban legend about the Ark of the Covenant that it might be actually in Africa, but that's besides the point.
We're never gonna get through this, are we?
No, we're not. Let's keep going. Come on, let's get
Yeah,
back to the Maccabees.
we're having way too much fun.
Yeah.
Okay, so after, of course, after he dies, the entire empire fell into disarray. It sort of split into smaller sections, governed by different tribes, and specifically the region known as the land of Israel was part of the the house of Salvacus. I really hope I'm pronouncing it correctly. Let me see if I can see how to pronounce it in English, because I mostly know the Hebrew.
I mean, naturally.
Oops, my TV, folks.
Well, live while we were doing it.
It's live for us.
Yeah.
So the House of Salvaca. Sorry, the Seleucid dynasty. There we go. We learned something new. So we're just gonna call them the Seleucians. I'm assuming that's where George Lucas got the name Salacious B. Crumb from.
Maybe.
So the Seleucids are now the governing power in the region of the land of Israel, and also parts of Syria, what modern day Syria, Jordan, and the like. And for the most part, they try to maintain a more or less peaceful rule over the Jews in the land of Israel until a new Seleucid king arrives. Let me just do the drum roll for a second. Where's the drum roll? There it is. Antiochus the Fourth.
Antioch?
I know him as Antiochus. Let me just do a quick check. Pretty sure it could be considered Antioch, but yeah, Antioch. Antioch
is for Epiphanes.
Epiphanes.
Epiphanes, yeah.
Yeah, Antiochus.
Antiochus the Third.
So yeah, Antioch is a city named after him.
Oh, okay, well, that makes sense.
Yeah, so Antiochus the Fourth is a douche. There's no other way around it. He was also given the nickname Antiochus Epiphanes or Epiphanes. Antiochus the Mad.
Which is how he's listed as on Wikipedia, actually.
Yeah, Antiochus the Mad King for you Song of Ice and Fire people.
Ooh.
So yeah, he was the Mad King. He was a very unstable man, and he hated the Jews. Okay, he was like he was like that generation's version of Hitler, and what he wanted to do was he wanted to impose the Greek laws on the Jewish people, preventing them from upholding their customs. Taking away their faith. He prohibited reading the Bible. He prohibited doing circumcision. He basically tried to force the Jews to convert to believing in the Greek gods, even going so far as to demanding to take Jewish women to marry Greek men. There is a known story about a Jewish woman taken from her family to be with these Hellenistic Seleucid noblemen, and she stabs him in his sleep or something like that. The Jews very much resist. They resist the idea of themselves becoming more and more like the Greeks. They start doing circumcisions in secret and reading the Bible in secret, all just to do it under Antiochus's massive nose, which you can kind of see
It's been
is
knocked off.
is gone from the
Speaking of
statue.
popping off, you
Yeah,
want to
no
know how
one,
I
no one.
first heard about circumcision?
What?
Do you want to know how I first heard about circumcision?
Go ahead. I'm
Robin
sure
Hood Men
you're
in
gonna get
Tights.
this, but go ahead. What?
Robin Hood Men in Tights. Circumcision.
Like,
Half off.
yeah, yeah.
Yeah. Ay, ay, ay. I'll take two.
So you all fakelas?
No. We're just married.
Right. So, after that event happens, Antiochus really gets mad, and he starts to double down on his converting to Greek isms. He starts essentially defacing and demolishing the Solomon's temple, destroying religious artifacts that are sacred to the Jewish people. He has his soldiers doing searching people's houses at night, taking away Bibles, the Bible, the holy books, burning them. Guess who also tried that once it didn't work out for him? Just saying.
Donald Trump. I mean Hitler.
I don't know about the other guy, but yeah. So yeah, he like I said, he doubles down. He forces the Jews to sacrifice a pig in Solomon's temple, which, as you know, the pig is the most unholy animal, the most unkosher animal for the Jewish people, which was a major sore point for the Jews. And he even goes out of his way to put a statue of Zeus in the holy temple, the Jewish temple. You can kind of tell the Jewish people did not appreciate that as much. And what?
So no kidding.
And he even goes so far as to rename the city of Jerusalem to Antiochia, or Antioch, as we talked about in just a minute. Just a minute ago, that was the name of the city, named after Antiochus. All right,
Yep.
and so one day these Greek soldiers went to the Jewish city of Modi'in, which is a city that's still around today, and found one of the wise men of the city, one of the very highly popular and valued member of the society, an old man, that they forced him to worship one of the Greek gods and one of the Greek statues. He firmly refused, openly refused, and vowed that he has sworn his allegiance to the one and only God, the God of the Jews, also known as
Jehovah, Jehovah, Jehovah! I'm warning you, if you say Jehovah once more, right, who's through that?
I love
And-
that movie.
what?
I love that movie.
Me too. So it's also important to note that after he openly refused and did his whole big spiel, there was another Jewish person that walked up to the Greek statue in an attempt to worship that god, and this old man, out of nowhere, just pulls out a dagger and stabs him in front of everyone, and then proceeds to stab and kill the messenger of Antiochus.
I wonder if that's where "Don't Shoot the Messenger" comes from.
Maybe. I mean, don't stab the messenger, but yeah. After that, he then ups and leaves, and that man is known as Mattathias, also
Hey,
known, or Matityahu in Hebrew.
I wonder if that's where the name Matthias comes from. Actually, I wonder if that's where my name is derived from.
Maybe.
Because my name is Matthew.
I mean, it literally means gift of
Something
God.
of God, yeah. Gift of God, that's what it was. When I got my confirmation when I was 7, my parents actually got me a plaque that said that. For those who don't know, confirmation in Catholicism is when you go through the ritual to be able to receive the body and blood of Christ, the bread and the water.
Cool.
That's what I was explaining to you because then I realized you don't know what the fuck I'm talking about.
Yeah, and maybe there's some other Jews watching and they don't know what it is. So yeah, Mattathias then ups and leaves the city of Modi'in with his 5 sons. Uh, his 5 sons. Uh, uh, okay, so there's two names. When we two sets of names. There's the Hebrew names, and then there's the English appropriation. All right.
Because some things don't transfer over, but yes.
Yeah. So, how do you want to do this?
Don't know, but I actually can confirm that is where my name is derived from. I did just quickly do a quick Google search.
Cool.
Yeah.
Well, now you know. Now you know.
Yeah, it ultimately derives from the Hebrew name Matitayu, which means gift of God.
Matityahu.
Matityahu.
Yeah.
There we go. Yeah.
That's his name, Matityahu.
Yeah. So it's from the guy. Thank you very much.
So based on that, should we do the Hebrew names?
Yeah, why not?
Okay, so his 5 names are for the 5 sons are Yochanan Hagdi, Shimon Hatrisi, Yehuda Hamakabi, Elazar HaChorani,
One of those sounds familiar.
and Yehonatan Havepasi. Now I'm going to try to translate it to John the Gadi, Simon the Tarasi, Judah the Maccabee,
That's the only
Elazar.
one I know.
What?
That's the only one I know.
Yeah, because he's the most relevant to the story. So
Exactly.
Judah the Maccabee, Elazar the Horani, and Jonathan the Vapasi. I have no idea how to translate that. No, really, the only one that matters is Judah the Maccabee.
Yeah. So this is all of Mattathias' children, right?
Yeah, the 5
Okay, I
sons.
was just curious because I quickly hopped on his Wikipedia page, maybe if I could find something about his kids. Okay, so here is how they are in English on Wikipedia.
All right.
Judas Maccabeus, naturally.
Hold on.
Yeah.
This guy.
Elazar Avaran.
Aberan?
Avaran, Avaran.
Wait. Okay.
Simon Fassi, or Simeon.
This guy.
Yep. John Gotti, which sounds a little too suspicious like the mobster John Gotti.
All right.
And Jonathan Affus, or Jonathan.
This guy.
Yeah. So that is how they are in Wikipedia. Don't know if that's correct or not, but
again, some things just transfer over better than others.
Yeah.
All right. So these are the 5 sons, and after that little charade in Modi'in, they all run to the hills and to the mountains, and on his deathbed, Mattathias, the following year, that is, he passed away naturally the following year, and on his deathbed, he commanded his 5 sons to continue the Jewish rebellion against the Greeks. Something I forgot to mention is there were many of the Jews that actually accepted Greek as their new religion and actually converted, but most of them didn't. So that's why Mattathias wants to continue the legacy of the Jewish people, and he ordered his sons to continue on his legacy. Now he appointed Simon or Simeon, this guy, to be the spiritual leader, the religious leader of the Jewish people. He appointed Jonathan to be the national leader in charge of things of state, and he appointed his most notable son, Judas or Judah, to be the military leader of their new rebellion, their growing rebellion. Now, the other 2 were commanders in Judas's army, and many more of the Jews that did not convert to the Greek way of life also joined their cause, also became part of this growing army, which would then later be named the Maccabees army. And here is a picture of Judas himself leading the Maccabees into war.
You mean isn't it the Maccabean army?
Maccabean, Maccabees, you
Tomato,
could go
tomato.
either way. So, following this event, the Maccabees went on to have no less than 8 battles against the Seleucid army, and out of the 8, 6 of them resulted in notable victories for the Maccabees, and only 2 of them were crushing defeats.
Hmm.
Now, the more they fought, the more they won. The more Judas himself gained more and more support from the Jewish people who did not convert to Greekism, or some that did and actually converted back to Judaism. And with every battle, they got their hands on more and more weapons and strategic value, and the overall morale for the Seleucid Empire went and diminished over time. Now, these 8 battles, I should have had their names written down, but whatever. So one of the more notable battles was, I believe, the third battle, the Battle of Emmaus, which was where the Seleucid Empire was commanded by the 2 commanders, Gorgias and Nicanor. Could not find pictures for these 2 guys, but whatever. In that battle specifically, the Greek army consisted of no less than 20,000 foot soldiers and around 7,000 cavalry. Among them were also war elephants, which were a huge advantage.
Oh,
Yeah, a huge advantage for the Greeks over the Jews.
Mm-hmm.
All right, which have kind of forced the Jews to really think on their feet. There's no other way around it. The Jews were hugely outnumbered, outmanned, and outgunned during this Hasmonean War, this whole war between the Maccabees and the Seleucids. So what they really needed to do was to use their greatest secret weapon, the Jewish brain. And right then and there, that is when Judah the Maccabee. What?
So the stereotype comes from.
Yep, that's where the stereotype came from. So right then and there, Judah the Maccabee became widely known for being one of the greatest military tacticians of all time. And we're going back to the Battle of Emmaus for this purpose. So, but by the way, the Maccabee army was around 3,000 in this battle.
Not bad.
Remember how I said the numbers for the Seleucids?
Yeah, a lot more.
Yeah. So here's how the general outlook of how that battle went like. Okay, so Gorgias and Nicanor decided to make their camp in a nearby city of Emmaus, which was overlooking. Which was a very short walking distance from the Maccabees' camp, which was on the mountains on the other side. And while the Greeks the Seleucids were preparing to war, the Jews did what they usually do. They prayed and hoped for victory. Now, as soon as the Seleucid army left Emmaus in the direction of the Maccabees, which I probably should have. Sorry, Mitzpah. That's where the Maccabees had their camp. While they were making their way towards Mitzpah, the Maccabees left and didn't go straight to meet the Seleucids head on. They went around where the Greeks would have passed through, and by the time that the Seleucids reached Mitzpah, the Jewish army already reached the city of Emmaus, which was abandoned. So they went into the city and destroyed it. The city was burning, and it was ravaged to the ground. By the time that the Seleucids realized what happened, they've already reached Mitzpah, and realized it was completely empty and deserted, they turned back around. They see their city, their great, powerful city, in flames and in ruins. That right then and there uh, hugely lowered their morale. It really made them fear the Maccabees more than anything else. So by the time that the Maccabees turned back around and went on to face the Seleucids head on, they were already shaken up
Mhm.
by this event, and it also really boosted the morale for the Maccabees, which led to a great victory for the Maccabees. Unfortunately, it came at a very heavy loss, specifically the loss of Judas's brother Eleazar. And the way he died was basically during the battle. He ran towards one of the Seleucid war elephants and speared him right in the gut, killing it. And of course, the Seleucid soldiers who were on its back fell over and died. But unfortunately, the elephant itself landed on Eleazar, crushing his body
Ugh.
in the altercation. So yeah, the death of a hero, but like I said, it was a massive, massive victory for the Maccabees. Now, the eighth battle, the Battle of El Asha, uh, was, of course, the battle that ended in the last defeat for the Maccabees, which, of course, resulted in the death of Judah the Maccabee and kind of forced the Hasmonean army or the Maccabee army, we can go either way, to switch tactics in a way. They were no longer operating as a full on army, they switched to more underground guerrilla warfare, which still brought several victories to the Maccabee side and several defeats to the Seleucid side, but overall they weren't quite as well organized as they used to be. Of course, several years later, the Seleucid Empire fell anyway, and the Romans came, but so that's kind of irrelevant
Yeah.
for the most part. And so this is more or less the historical aspect of the story. Now on to the more religious side, the much more fantasized side of the story. So after, I believe, the fifth or sixth battle, uh, where the Maccabees won, they managed to banish the Seleucids out of the city of Jerusalem completely. They purged the city of Jerusalem from any Greek uh, um, remnants, and now it was time to give the people hope again. Give the people something to believe in, something to fight for, something to unify the Jewish people once again, to give them motivation to continue the fight, continue their support in the Maccabees, and continue to banish the Seleucids from their land. And the only way they had of doing it was by way of one of the most sacred and holy symbols for the Jewish people, the menorah.
Mhm.
Menorah, of course, is a vastly important Jewish artifact. It is the eternal flame that burns deep in the heart of Solomon's temple, and as long as the flame still lives on, the Jewish people have not lost their hope, which probably is why they named their national anthem the Tikva, which literally translates to the hope. So yeah, this thing brings people hope. It is the miracle that keeps on giving. Unfortunately, it was kind of demolished by the Greeks, but the Jews were able to fix it, patch it up, and make it functional again. Now the only thing they had left was a way to light the flame, which they didn't have. They searched for and this is where it kind of gets, like I said, fantasized. So exact details could go either way. But some say they searched for 8 days and 8 nights to find a way to light it. Then the only way that they could light it is, of course, to see it on the top of the seven sides of the menorah. There are these candles, clay candles lit by oil, pure oil, and they had no oil left. They used it all to the Greeks used it uh, for food purposes, to oil their war machines and whatnot. There was no oil left, and the Jewish people were starting to get desperate because they knew that actually producing new, fresh, pure oil to light the candles would take several days. And by that point, they feared that hope will be lost and morale would be thrown out the window.
Mhm.
And then they found this tiny, merely insignificant flask or jug. Again, depending on your translation, this tiny little jug full of oil, pure oil, at one of the more random one of the more random corners of the temple. Now, for a second there was a little bit of hope that he actually got something to light the menorah with, but that hope very quickly dissipated when they realized that the tiny, tiny amount of oil inside it wouldn't be enough to light the menorah for more than a few hours. But being the faith believing Jews that they are, they went ahead and used the oil in the flask anyway. So they used it to light all seven sides of the menorah and hoped and prayed to their gods that if this will be enough to light the menorah, by the time they'll have more time to produce more oil to continue lighting it. And through their astonishment and wonder, that tiny, tiny little amount of oil in that flask actually managed to keep the lights of the menorah burning for 8 days and 8 nights. This tiny little amount lasted for over a week.
Hmm.
And of course, by the time it ran out, they were already able to produce more oil. And this, of course, is what gave them the morale boost that they needed to continue on with the war and continue on with their victories and continue to banish the Seleucids from their lands. Of course, about a century and a half later, actually 2 centuries more or less, during one of the great revolts, the Romans destroyed the temple again, and they stole the menorah, and it's lost till this very day. The working theory is it was melted down to produce more weapons for the Romans, which, of course, as I mentioned, will most likely never be found again. In fact, one could say that
That belongs in a museum.
Oh yes.
uh, Total just came up with that on the spot. So yeah, so this was basically the story of Hanukkah. This is both the historical aspect and the more spiritual and religious aspect of it. And since then, not directly since then, because again, you got to give it a few hundred years until the facts became fiction, the history became fantasy, and it was very romanticized by the descendants of the Jewish people from those times, and actually evolved into becoming a Jewish holiday, the holiday known as Hanukkah. Now, there are several origins for the name Hanukkah. The one such source uh, uh, one such source claims that the name Hanukkah comes from the words Chanukat Hamizbeach, the inauguration of the altar, preparing the fire to light the flames of the menorah. Now, another source is actually split into two. But the other source claims that this comes from the specific date that these events happened. Of
Yeah.
course, I told you a couple of times that the Jews have their own calendar uh, that goes with letters instead of numbers,
Hmm.
and allegedly the miracle happened between the 25th of the month of Kislev all the way into the fifth day of the following month, Tibet. Now, the 25 in Hebrew, or rather the Hebrew letters, I should say, is Kaf Hey. Hold on, let me just type it down for you so it'll be easier. Uh, 25. If you remember the episode we did about Jewish letters and Jewish numbers and stuff, this is what 25 looks like in with the usage of Hebrew letters. The letter Kaf, which is 20, and the letter Hey, which is 5.
Almost looks like a weird elephant.
How? I'm
Well,
not seeing it.
the back end are the legs, the slashes are the eyes, and that's the trunk.
I'm still not getting it.
All right.
Weird. But yeah, so some might say that because the fighting happened on the 25th of Kislev, or rather Kafhei, to be more specific, that is where the Maccabees forces um, rested, or to put it in another way, they parked. They stopped their fighting on the 25th, and as such, they to put it in Hebrew terms, Chanu, meaning parked, ended in Kafhei, the 25th.
Okay,
Chanu.
so I ended on the 25th. Okay.
Now, another example from the same source also states that this could be because, of course, they won. They God looked favorably upon them, meaning they really caught God's eye, matzu chen, in the eyes of God. Chen, they uh, uh, they were favored by God, Chanu, on the 25th. Hanukah.
All
So
right.
that's it for the name origin. Now, as for the actual traditions, one of the main traditions, which you probably already know by now, is to light a Chanukia. This is not a menorah. This is the misconception that everyone gets wrong all,
Yeah.
all the time. Even as I've noticed, even in the Rugrats special that you mentioned, they call it a menorah. They don't call it a Chanukia.
Yeah, I thought it was menorah as well.
It's understandable for you to think that, but the guys that made that special should have known better. I'm just saying.
Maybe.
Now, a Chanukia is not obviously not a menorah. It comes from the name Hanukkah, obviously. And can you tell what's the major difference between the menorah and Hanukkah?
The Hanukia's got 8, the menorah's got 7.
Yep. So seven is a very lucky number for the Jewish people. For a lot of other reasons, it's a lot of lucky number just in general, not just for the Jewish people. Just the Jewish people really emphasize that point. They love showing off about that point. But so that's why it has three sides on each side of the menorah, and the middle candle, the shamash.
So then
Now
why are there 8s on the other one?
that's actually not eight.
No, I said on the other one.
That's not eight.
I see 7 here.
Do a
Oh,
recount.
9. Shit.
Yeah. So it's got four on each side and the shamash in the middle.
Then why did they add on to it? That's actually what I was trying to get to.
How many days did the fire last?
More than 7.
8 days.
Makes sense. Okay, that's fair. One for
So
every day. Duh.
yeah, so one candle for each day, and of course, like I mentioned, there's the shamash in the middle. So
Yeah.
it's common tradition to light the flame of the Hanukkah one candle per day.
Okay, that was something I was going to ask because I couldn't quite remember that if it was all at once or one per day.
Nope. It's, see, the thing is, uh, you light first you light two candles, the shamash and the other one, and then you use the shamash to light up the other candles in the Hanukkah. Of course.
Yes, I have seen videos of, like I have seen videos of people doing that.
Okay, I was not expecting this. This is the sides are way too big, but let's just try to get through this specific segment without any mishap. Okay, I am going
Fast forward
to
2 minutes later, woo, woo, fire trucks.
yeah, nearest fire station is very far away from where I live, so let's just hope that it doesn't come to that. Okay, now you can see how messy my table really is.
Dude,
Oh
you
my
do not want to see what
goodness.
my partner looked like at one point. Oh,
All right. So, like I said, this is the shamash. This is the important one. Shamash. I did not research this, but I can only assume it comes from the Hebrew word shemesh, which means sun, which that in and of itself came from the ancient Babylonian god Shamash,
you are
the god
correct.
of the sun.
I
What?
just quickly Googled it. You are correct.
Well, turns out I can think on my own for every once in a while. So yeah, the from the Epic of Gilgamesh, the ancient Babylonian story.
Mhm.
There's the Babylonian gods. One of the more prominent one of them is their Zeus. In a way, is the powerful sun god Shamash, which is where the Hebrew word for sun comes from. Now, I'm gonna be completely honest with you.
Mhm.
I am a bad Jew because I do not know the exact prayer you're supposed to pray when you're lighting these candles, but I don't give a shit. So it works out. Now, as I mentioned, you light up the shamash first, and then you use the shamash to light each of the individual candles. You light the shamash and this candle on the first day, the shamash and these two candles on the second day, and so on and so forth until you light up all 8 candles. Now, as I
So,
mentioned,
quick question about the pattern. So you do the four, but when you go to the other side, you start from the outside in as well, or
you
you just
start from the same one you started.
okay? So you're working your way in.
Yep. No. You're working from the same one in, and you go this.
Okay, yeah, okay, that's what I was wondering. Yeah,
Yeah. Okay. So I know it's the wrong God, but please pray nothing bad happens during this little shtick that I'm about to do. Okay. Okay. So I've light up the shamash.
Mhm.
Light up candle number 1, candle number 2, candle number 3, candle number 4, 5, 6, 7, and 8, and then you place the shamash back here in the center and just leave it burning for as long as they can continue to burn.
Mm.
And like I said, I do not know the prayer you're supposed to speak while lighting up these candles, but I don't give a shit, so it doesn't matter. Now, this Hanukkah is going to continue to burn while we're continuing to do the show.
Do you want
I
me?
really hope nothing bad happens. What?
I actually do have the prayer up in front of me.
Eh, doesn't matter. We moved on to the next bit. The next bit.
Because they translated it into English, so I could do it.
Like
So, all right.
what I've seen people abroad speaking that prayer in Hebrew.
Yeah, they got both translations.
All right, cool. Now, this is just the main tradition of the holiday of Hanukkah. The other main tradition is, as is pretty common with other Jewish holidays, eating pastries. Pastries specifically designed for this holiday, including sufganiyas,
Mhm.
donuts.
Looks like a jelly donut.
Yep, just call them donuts. Let's call them donuts, and levivot.
That looks amazing.
What?
That looks good.
So yeah, there another name for them is latkes, which
Oh, I have heard of that. Latkes.
yeah, they're
I have
basically
latkes. They're great.
pancakes made with
Potatoes.
potatoes. Yeah. Can you tell me? Can you guess? Okay, guess what's the significance of these donuts and these latkes?
I want to say the donuts probably is a metaphor for blood of some sort, and I couldn't tell you what the latkes is. I'm
Okay,
probably way off.
that's very creative. Basically, they're both made with obscene amounts of oil
Oh, I would
to
never have known that.
symbolize the oil that lasted for the 8 days. Now, the other main tradition, and we're gonna wrap this up with that one. Do you know what the third one is that I'm about to talk about?
Probably part of me wants to say matzah.
That's Passover.
Yeah, that's why I said part of me wants to say matzah. Um, it's probably something simple too.
Very, very simple, as a matter of fact.
Yeah, bread.
And we just talked about pastries.
So it's another pastry. I don't know.
Hold on. I'm trying to be very, very careful with my mouse here, so as to not disturb the candle. The dreidel.
Oh, see, I was thinking food.
I said tradition. I did. I wasn't very specific
No,
on.
you weren't specific, and that's why I was thinking food. Yeah, clearly the dreidel. Dreidel, dreidel, dreidel. Da, 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 da.
Yep. So the dreidel is a type of spinning top,
Mhm.
which is nothing new across the world. You know, there are spinning tops in multiple different cultures, but
Yep.
this the one you're seeing right here is specifically the Jewish dreidel. Can you tell me what's special about the Jewish dreidel specifically that makes it unique among the other dreidels, among the other spinning tops? That is.
Okay, that's what I was gonna say. Well, the other spinning tops are more kind of. Well, you got to take it off the picture so see what I'm doing. So like the common tops that I know are designed like this. They come to a point, whereas these ones are not. They're more even until they get to the bottom, and it's a rounded curve.
I mean, that's just a stylistic choice for the picture. There are other looking dreidels, but really the thing that really specializes them, makes
Okay,
them special
snake
is,
dreidel. This is what most people think of. So
yep. Well, I mean, that is a dreidel.
I
All
know.
the other
And you
ones
said they
are
come in all
spinning
forms,
top.
you said they
What?
come in all different sizes and shapes. I said, well, this is what people think of as a dreidel.
True. Yeah. I thank you for reminding me what I said. I forgot about. I missed
You're
that. But yeah. So this is the traditional look of the Jewish dreidel. But like I said, they do come in other varieties. But when you say dreidel, this is more or less what you mean.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah. Exactly.
And what really specializes them is that they come in this cubical shape, like a dice.
Yeah. Up until the
Right.
very end. Yeah.
And the reason for that is for gambling, mostly. One of the other traditions I didn't talk about was you're supposed to give children allowances in this holiday, and then they use the the dreidel to gamble on their allowances. Now you'll notice that each of the dreidels have four sides on them, and on each side is a different letter in the Hebrew alphabet. All right. Now, this is actually something that I've learned while researching this episode, that in parts of Greater Europe, like I said, these letters were used for gambling. Of course, you spin the spinning top, or the dreidel, as you know it's called.
Yeah.
You okay?
Yeah. Just a wrong intake of air.
So whichever letter it lands on is the gamble itself. Now, each of these each of these letters represent a different word in the language of Yiddish. You know Yiddish, right?
Yeah. It's one of my favorite languages because of how funny the words sound.
Well, I mean, it's a stolen language, but whatever. Sorry, hold on. I'm just writing some stuff that, in all honesty, I should have written before we started this episode. I had all the freaking time in the world to prepare, and yet I didn't. That's very me.
Mm-hmm.
Now, each of these, like I said, each of these letters means something. The letter nun means nicht, meaning nothing. All right?
So 0.
Yeah, zero. Exactly. Uh, the so sorry, hold on. The final thing that I need to type in. The letter Gimel stands for ganz, meaning everything.
Oh, okay.
The letter Hey stands for Halfstein, and the which means half.
Yep.
Hold on, wait, what? Sorry, my bad. It just means half. I mislabeled it. Give me a sec. This is what happens when you don't prepare ahead of time. So have, halv, to be more specific, and the letter sheen. Sorry. Stands for Stahlein, meaning add one. All right. So basically, if it lands on nicht or noon, you get nothing. You get zero. If it lands on gimel, you get all of it. You get
Yep.
all the money in the bag. If it lands on hey, you get half of it. And if it lands on sheen, you add one of your coins to the pile.
Okay.
So basically, you add coins to the pile until one of you gets
Everything.
all of it, half of it, or none of it.
Okay.
Now these, hold on, let me just put up another picture. These are the letters of a traditional dreidel.
Yeah.
However, in the state of Israel, dreidels actually look more like this. Can you tell me what the major difference here is?
Yeah, the other one looks like it was hand carved and then tried to sew. This one actually looks like it's got some care put into it.
Not exactly. So look again.
Yeah, bring back the other one then.
What?
Bring back the other picture then.
All right, give me a second.
Now back. Some of the symbols are different.
One of the symbols is different.
One of the symbols, yeah. Okay, so just the one. Okay.
So instead of having the Jewish letters Nun, Gimel, Hey, Shin,
For folks,
this
it's
one has what?
the green one's the one missing.
Yep. This one has the letters Nun, Gimel, Hey, Pei. Instead of looking like this, it looks like this. Can you imagine why they changed it?
Because people hated when everyone would say pay up. Oh.
All right, that's a good argument, but no. So the Hasidic Jews, the Haredis, whatever you want to call them, the hardcore religious people in Israel, the religious people in Israel, maintain the point that it should say that should have these letters because the letters themselves need to represent. Hold on, again. I need to write this. Okay, I need to write this to illustrate my point.
Okay, while you're typing that, I'm going to quickly pause.
All right. Cool. So the letter combination of Nun Gimel Hey Pei, as dictated by the religious leaders in Israel, stands for Nes Gadol Haya Po. A great miracle happened here,
Oh, okay.
referring specifically to the oil flush that lasted for 8 days. Now, the reason for the different lettering in other places outside of Israel is that the letters in foreign dreidels stand for Nes Gadol Haya Sham. A great miracle happened there. So if it's in the territory of the state of Israel, it's a great miracle that happened here. Anywhere else, it happened there, referencing Israel.
Gotcha.
So this is pretty much more it. This is more or less everything we needed to go over for the holiday of Hanukkah. Um, any takeaways? Any
Yeah, I learned why you do some of the things you do. I learned the origin of my name. Yeah, no, there was actually quite a few things that I learned about here. Like honestly, I knew what a menorah was. I didn't know what the purpose of it was.
But now
So,
you know.
I know. Yeah.
So you remember we talked about me taking next week as well,
Yes.
so you can have your episode be a Christmas special.
Mhm.
All right. So do you want to know what my topic is?
Naturally.
Oddly enough, it's also something that has to do with fire, and it's actually a bit of a tragedy. I am going to be
If it has
talking
to do
about.
Jewish and history, usually is.
Yeah, I mean, our God seems to get a very big kick out of punishing us for something.
Easy.
Always
For
punishing us for
crucifying his
something.
son. For
What?
crucifying his son.
About that.
I'm kidding.
Crucifixion? Yes. Good. Out of the door, line on the left, one cross each.
So, I'm just going to talk about the great brush fire in Mount Carmel from a couple of years ago. Over a decade ago,
How big
it was
was that
it was a great what?
How big was it?
It lasted for several days.
Oh, frickin' that's just an afternoon here in Canada.
Well, not for us. There's a reason why I am. Don't shut down my story before I even get a chance to tell it.
Oh my, how the tables turn sometimes.
I'm going to take one of these candles and burn you alive. All right, so it's a story that happened while I was in high school, as a matter of fact. And like I said, it was a great tragedy. We'll get into the specifics of why, and maybe then you'll understand why I made it such a big major topic. But yeah, so it was a story that happened in Mount Carmel around 2010 or 2011 ish, and we're gonna talk about it. So when you're not shitting on other people's stories, where can the good people of the interwebs find you, Mr. Method?
When I'm having to put up whenever you shit on my stories when I do the same when it happens.
I don't shit on your stories. I sit down and listen.
50, you have on camera every time I've said something. You're like, oh, that's normal for us over here. You've done
No,
it
I didn't.
multiple times.
No, I did not.
Anyways, you can find me in my personal Instagram and
You
Twitter.
did that for my stories all the time. You know me. I'm gonna look over the tape and find out, and I'm actually gonna send you the proof.
Well, you want to? I didn't say I never denied that I didn't do it.
But I'm saying I never do. I'm just sitting. I'm just sitting here and listening and asking questions while you're reading out your Wikipedia pages.
I never said during a show 50. Anyways,
When?
You can find me on my personal Instagram and Twitter.
You said on camera. You said on camera.
Yeah, and I never said it was on this show either.
So when?
Taco stands. There's a lot. Anyways, we'll talk about this off camera, 50.
All right, fine. Topic for off camera stuff.
Yeah, no, Soda underscore the underscore Saxman, and I'm here doing unusual shenanigans with 50.
All right. And some of those shenanigans include this show, as well as the greatest show in the galaxy, where we talk about the greatest show in the galaxy ever, Doctor Who. And I also talk even more Doctor Who on my channel, 50 Shades of Geek. I do weekly reviews of every single Doctor Who episode from 1963 all the way to 2023. And you can also check out all the other channels from the wider Benverse at large, like the FMF, sorry, and a hiccup there. Something to talk about, Galaxy Geeks, Multiverse of Geekdom, Movie Lovers Unite, The Midnight Cinema, 8 Reviews, and of course, In the Front Row, which is not on this thumbnail, but you should still check her out when you get a chance to. She's great. So, this has been the story of Hanukkah, several days late, but better late than never, am I right?
Pretty much. To quote Cheech Marine in Ghostbusters 2, better late than never.
Better late than never. You know what? This is exactly what I was thinking when I said that.
Yep.
And you know someone else who probably would have thought about the same thing at the same time?
Yeah.
Our good buddy Ben Rayner. We're doing this for him. This whole show is meant for him. We miss him every day, and we're coming up on a full year since we lost him. And well, life sucks ever since.
12 more days.
But yeah. So just remember, whether you're doing this for religious reasons, historical reasons, or just personal reasons, always let your geek flag fly. That's all we're really asking. So hope you all had a happy Hanukkah. Hope you all have a Merry Christmas and Happy New Year. And we will see you later. Goodbye.